All right, let's see how sharp you really are. Today, we're testing your knowledge of prototyping. Can a rough sketch outperform a polished digital design? Should prototype users receive instructions? And could making a prototype look too realistic actually damage the testing process? You're about to find out. 10 questions, no hints, no second chances. I'll give you the statement. You decide, fact or fiction. Think fast. Trust your instincts. And keep score, because some of the most believable statements are completely wrong. Ready? Let's test your knowledge of prototyping best practices. Question 1. Here's your first statement. A prototype should look as polished and realistic as possible before it is shown to users. The answer is fiction. This sounds professional, but it is not always the best approach. The right level of detail depends on what the team needs to learn. If the goal is to test a basic concept, user journey, page structure, or navigation flow, a sketch or simple wireframe may be enough. In fact, making an early prototype look too polished can create problems. Users may assume the product is nearly finished and focus on colors, fonts, images, and minor visual details, instead of questioning whether the underlying idea actually works. A highly polished design can also make team members more emotionally attached to their work, making them less willing to change or discard it. The best prototype is not necessarily the most impressive one. It is the simplest version that can answer the team's most important question. Question 2. Next statement. Paper sketches can be useful prototypes for testing digital products. The answer is fact. A prototype does not need to contain working software. Paper sketches, index cards, presentation slides, and basic wireframes can all be used to simulate a digital experience. One person can even act as the computer by changing the paper screen whenever a participant selects a button or menu. These low-cost prototypes allow teams to explore navigation, screen layouts, terminology, and user journeys before spending time building the product. They are also easy to change. If a participant becomes confused, the team can redraw the screen, rearrange the flow, and test a new version almost immediately. Paper prototypes may look simple, but they can reveal expensive problems surprisingly early. Question 3. Let's continue. A prototype should attempt to test every feature of the planned product at the same time. The answer is fiction. A prototype becomes less useful when it tries to answer too many questions at once. Before building it, the team should identify the specific uncertainty it wants to investigate. For example, do users understand the navigation? Can they complete the checkout process? Will customers trust the service? Does the proposed workflow solve a real problem? Each question may require a different type of prototype. A broad prototype filled with unfinished features can make test results difficult to interpret. If users struggle, the team may not know whether the problem was the concept, the content, the interface, or the incomplete functionality. A focused prototype produces clearer evidence. Prototype the risk, not the entire product. Question 4. Pay attention to this one. The most important participants in a prototype test are usually senior managers and members of the development team. The answer is fiction. Managers, designers, and developers can provide valuable feedback, but they are not substitutes for the people who will actually use the product. Internal team members already understand the idea. They know what the buttons are supposed to do, what the terminology means, and what the finished experience is intended to become. Real users do not have that knowledge. That is exactly why their reactions are so valuable. Whenever possible, prototype participants should resemble the intended audience in their goals, experience, behaviors, abilities, and circumstances. For a specialist business platform, Testing only with people who have no connection to the industry may produce misleading results. For a consumer product, testing only with technical experts may hide problems that ordinary users would immediately encounter. Good testing does not depend on finding just anyone. It depends on finding people whose experiences are relevant to the decision being made. Question 5. We're halfway there. During a prototype test, the facilitator should explain exactly how each feature works, so the participant does not become confused. The answer is fiction. If the facilitator explains every step, the team may only prove that users can follow instructions, not that the design is understandable. A better approach is to give the participant a realistic objective. For example, imagine that you want to change your delivery address. Show me what you would do. Then the facilitator should observe. Where does the participant look first? What do they expect to happen? Which words or controls cause hesitation? When do they take the wrong path? The facilitator can ask neutral questions, but should avoid leading statements such as, "Wouldn't you click the blue button?" Confusion is not something that must be prevented during a prototype test. It is evidence. Every moment of hesitation can reveal an assumption the design team needs to reconsider. Question 6. Let's raise the difficulty. Testing several prototype variations can reveal more than testing only the team's favorite design. The answer is fact. Teams can become attached to the first idea that seems promising. But one design does not reveal what might work better. Creating multiple alternatives allows the team to compare different layouts, messages, workflows, or interaction models. One version might make a feature easier to find. Another might make the value of the product easier to understand. A third might reduce the number of steps required to complete a task. This process is sometimes called divergent prototyping because the team explores several possible directions before committing to one. The alternatives do not need to be completely different products. Even a few carefully selected variations can expose assumptions and generate stronger ideas. Just remember, if participants compare versions, rotate the order in which they see them when possible. Otherwise, the first design they experience may influence how they judge everything that follows. Question 7. This one catches people off guard. If most prototype participants say they like the product, the concept has been successfully validated. The answer is fiction. Positive comments can feel encouraging, but they are not the same as evidence. Participants may be polite. They may want to please the facilitator. They may like the appearance of the prototype without understanding the product. And they may say they would use or purchase something without ever doing so in real life. Instead of relying only on opinions, teams should observe behavior. Can users complete the key task? How many errors do they make? Where do they abandon the process? Do they understand the product's purpose without receiving an explanation? Would they provide an email address, book a demonstration, join a waiting list, or take another meaningful step? Behavioral evidence is usually stronger than a compliment. The goal of prototype testing is not to collect praise. It is to discover what people understand, what they need, and what they actually do. Question 8. Stay focused. Accessibility should be considered during prototyping, not added only after the finished product has been developed. The answer is fact. Accessibility decisions are often built into the structure of a product. They can affect color contrast, text size, keyboard navigation, button labels, form instructions, error messages, touch target sizes, captions, focus order, and compatibility with assistive technology. If these issues are considered only at the end, correcting them may require major redesign and redevelopment. Early prototypes can help teams test whether content is understandable, Controls are clearly identified, workflows can be completed in different ways, and important information is not communicated through color alone. Teams should also include people with disabilities in relevant research and testing, rather than assuming that automated tools can identify every obstacle. Accessibility is not simply a final compliance check. It is part of designing a product that more people can successfully use. Question 9. Almost there. Prototype testing should continue after development begins because new risks can appear as the product becomes more realistic. The answer is fact. Prototyping is not a single event that happens once at the beginning of a project. Different stages reveal different problems. An early sketch may test whether people understand the concept. A clickable wireframe may test navigation and task flow. A high-fidelity prototype may test content, visual hierarchy, and detailed interactions. A working technical prototype may reveal performance problems, integration risks, or limitations that were invisible in the original design. As the product changes, previous assumptions may also need to be tested again. A workflow that worked in isolation may become confusing after new features are introduced. A design that performed well on a desktop may fail on a mobile device. The strongest teams continue learning throughout development. They prototype, test, revise, and test again. Question 10. This is the final question, and it's the one that surprises most people. The main purpose of a prototype is to prove that the team's idea is correct. The answer is fiction. This is one of the most dangerous misunderstandings in product development. A prototype should not be created simply to defend an idea that the team has already decided to build. Its real purpose is to reduce uncertainty. That means a successful prototype may reveal that an idea is confusing, technically unrealistic, too expensive, unnecessary, or based on the wrong customer problem. That discovery can feel like failure, but it may actually save the organization months of work and a significant amount of money. Teams should begin by identifying their riskiest assumption. Do customers experience the problem? Do they understand the proposed solution? Can they complete the essential task? Will the technology perform as required? Is the business model believable? The prototype should then be designed to challenge that assumption and produce useful evidence. If the evidence supports the idea, the team can move forward with greater confidence. If it contradicts the idea, the team can revise it, test another direction, or decide not to build it. The real victory is not proving that the team was right. It is discovering the truth while change is still fast, inexpensive, and possible. All right, how did you do? Drop your score in the comments. And be honest, did the final question change how you think about prototyping? 8 or more? You understand something many teams learn only after wasting time and money. Less than that, now you know what others don't. A great prototype does not need to look finished. It needs to help you learn. Hit like, subscribe, and share this challenge with someone who builds products, services, websites, or business ideas. Then come back for the next MP Nerds Challenge. Because building smarter starts with testing sooner. And knowing more is how you stay ahead.